everybody, and welcome back. Sorry, I just really feel like we're on the verge of something really great here. It's a real breakthrough with feel like we're like either in therapy, giving therapy, or what have you. But no, just the idea of problem solving and control structures and how people are interacting with each other and basically understanding politics. Now, real simple answer, states should control more. Okay, so not a popular answer, and here's why. So abortion was legalized, or at least decriminalized nationwide, or something. See, I don't even really understand to the full extent. It doesn't matter. Like abortion was, I want to say, legally protected nationally, and then it was taken away, and now that's why a lot of people are upset. And now each state is deciding for themselves what they want to do, and understandably so. I'm not trying to downplay or say that I agree one way or the other with all of these, and that's an unfortunate thing that we have to do. Although, even as I say that, I just checked my Twitters and I see Elon tweeted this thing of like, wow, augmented reality is amazing, and it shows like a screen of war up top, and then like a woman's chest in the middle, and then the food at the bottom. And I chuckled because at first I was like, whoa, and like that's funny, and then like and then the country redneck in me was just like, oh, darn tootin', that's funny right there. And like, but then if you really analyze that, like, take a look at it. So you've got war atop, sexual urges and desires in the middle, and then food. So you're trying to meet your basic needs, and then you're concerned about your safety. So right there in a meme, you have the trifecta of, and granted, that's just from a male perspective. Like if a woman posted that, and that's the other thing. It's like it's the opportunity. It's the inequality due to the opportunity. Like men just throughout history have had more access to tech and control and stuff, whether it's intentional or unintentional. And let's talk about that real quick. So Sharia law, like Islam, Muslim, stuff like that, like the argument is like we treat our women like queens, like princesses. So like, we have them up on that pedestal, like we take care of them. And well, okay, that's fine and good, and that's one way to solve a problem, which is how do you treat people based on the one dividing factor that, and even that's really big controversy right now, male or female, and then I throw in that caveat or anyone in between, because it's not just as black and white now. It's not just, oh, you are man, you are woman. Although, you are what you're born with. You could be born with anywhere in between, and then also we can change it. Like I'm not saying we're there yet. I mean, and again, pointing back to South Park, they have the Lawfin episode where, yeah, we can make you look like a Jewish dolphin, but are you a Jewish dolphin? No, you're not a dolphin. We don't have those kinds of abilities yet, and not saying we won't in the future. And people are free to feel out for themselves, because that's the thing. Just like how, when people start studying cybersecurity, they'll learn quick that it's explained as a compromise. You're leveraging how much security you can afford versus how much risk you're willing to assume. Because if you have a data breach, like, and say you're a large company like Target is one of the easier ones to point out, they got breached by, just one point of weakness, and we know how now. And so now, like, we've secured up that weakness and all that. And that is cybersecurity in a nutshell, is you're trying to play a whack-a-mole game of access control with people. And there's people trying to gain access to places they shouldn't be for whatever reason. And right there, you can pick and choose your team, and you can change teams too. Like, and that's why you can remain fluid. Like, I might be a red teamer or I might be a blue teamer. I prefer not to red team because I'm socially awkward with manipulating people. I'm good at it, but I don't like it. And that's the thing, is like, opportunity. People that have had more opportunity to learn different skills and different traits, like say people in prison. No, I haven't been to prison, but opportunity. So people that have been to prison, if you're in a barber shop, you're going to get your haircut eventually. It's like how I had it described to me one time. It's like, if you're in a prison, you're going to learn how to do prison things. Like, although that's what they were saying, but I thought they were also talking about like using meth, like, but that really, that definition or that explanation is applicable to a lot of situations. Like if you're in a barber shop, you're gonna, da 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 da, like, fill in the blank or do an ad lib or a mad lib or come on. There we go. Okay. And see right there, we got to see real life of like how the code acted in that way. So we know that the llamas, sorry, the things that I just pay attention to as I'm doing these things over and over and over again. Like, so the llamas, what they'll do, and again, these aren't real llamas, these are just fake. They're made for my enjoyment, my amusement. So if I really was a god, like, well, first off, that would be super awkward, but imagine if there really was a god like that, and then that's all they're doing is they're just up there playing with their little trinkets, doing these things, and then lo and behold, like, and that's how you get Black Mirror and Twilight Zone and all these things. Is like the what ifs. Like, what if, or Lisa's tooth in The Simpsons? Like, Lisa accidentally became a god. So did Bender too. They both did it in different episodes. But anyways, and it's just the idea of like, what if you accidentally created a society and you didn't know? Like, would you be fair to that society? Would you be kind? How far are you willing to go? Find in or tune in next week to find out. Like, it's just that kind of thing. And then so right there you have the dynamics of an educational or entertaining show, which makes increased viewers, more purpose to drive up, more resources to dedicate to that. And when you start describing things like that, like really analyzing why people do things, like, oh, that's showbiz, kid. Well, that's because they don't have the time to explain to you. They like, first you have to grease the palms of the people that could be greasy, because you might have to do it through sexual favors or a bunch of money. And again, I'm just kind of glazing over these things, but these are what we know from what I've seen. Like people get arrested for sex assault in the movie industry all the time. And, that's just the way things were back then. Is like, it's how you describe it. And while, yes, and even you have to like get along to get along. So again, now a throwback to Rick and Morty. If you watch the episode where it's Rick's and Morty's, it's on the Citadel and they're cops. And like, just another day, Rick's killing Morty's or something, or Morty's killing Morty's or something. They did some kind of thing and it was like, it was funny, it made sense, and it was profound. But that's kind of like the idea is like, that's just how things work. And that's the unfortunate thing is like human behavior will even commit crimes if it's the easier, the path of less resistance, unless we can just stand up and say, no, I will be righteous. I will not do these things. And then you're liable to get your butt kicked or get killed in your own process. And then it also depends on how deep you are. And we say these things in like music, famous hip hop and rap and all that, like, talking about gangster stuff. It was kind of like a study into like the gangster culture, the gangster society. And then you get into MTV or the boring parts of MTV where it's like someone talks about a song for an hour and then you're like, man, I just wanted to listen to the song. And then you get things like Office Space where they're listening to gangster rap in traffic and like there's someone comes up to try to sell flowers to him and doesn't even like look at him directly. They're just like a random panhandler on the side of the road. An unexpected inconvenience of someone trying to get their needs met and trying to introduce a market, make money the way they know how. They don't want to go out and sell drugs or, whore themselves out. I'm just kidding, but I'm thinking specifically of a song now. Like, what would you do? And it was like Black Eyed Peas, I want to say. It's like, kid crying alone and he's hungry and the only way to feed him is sleep with a man for a little bit of money. And it was like basically justifying prostitution, which, and I laugh at it, but I know people that did prostitution in college. Like, oh, okay, so, and then there you go right there. It's like, as soon as you start relating it to it and it hits home, then it starts to become a problem that you want to solve. All right, so granted, I'm not saying like I want to keep people from doing prostitution. No, I want to make it to where nobody feels like they have to sell their bodies for money. But then I want it to be legalized to where if people want to work as an adult sex worker, then they have the freedom to do so. See, that's like all of it right there. And the unforeseen side effects. Yeah, I guess we're doing it this episode. This is what I was talking about a few episodes back. Actually, probably like almost a couple seasons back. When I was like, are we going to do this? Are we going to do this? But anyways, no. Sex crimes. Like, we reduce sex crimes by producing alternative outlets for such sex crimes. And that's applicable to, oh wow, now like my phone's going off. It's like, are you paying extra attention now? No, I'm actually trying to coordinate with one of. Um, okay. Anyways, and I will respond really soon. And see, that's why I was kind of struggling with like. So I'm in the middle of doing one of these recordings, and the half hours are definitely more convenient for that aspect so I can actually keep in touch with everyone else without delaying these things. However, the side projects never stop. Like we're going to continue to fix things so we don't need things like Batman or Superman, like which technically we don't really need in the first place anyway. Those are hypothetical situations where crime is rampant, crime is out of control, and like whether it's real or perceived. And see, and that's the other thing too. Like, we're doing the best that we can. That includes law enforcement and law and corrections. Like, they're just doing the best that they can with the tools provided to them. That's why, like, it's so hard care in the healthcare industry. Oh, and I have a story about this too. My son broke his arm, and first thing he did, he says like, "Dad, where were you?" Or he said something to the tune of that. When it was a complete accident, like, and to this day, like, I mean, he didn't mean it. And I was like, I was standing right there. I was looking after his sister, and I think he noticed that right then. And right away too, he said, "Sorry, I didn't mean that," or something like that. And granted, this is a little kid. Like he broke his arm. I don't want to start throwing out dates and ranges and everything because somebody doing actual recon now, it's that trade-off of what I'm comfortable sharing with my kids and blah blah blah. So, anyways, I'm at least comfortable saying that. Like just the behavior and the observation that I had, he broke his arm. He felt betrayed instantly. Like there was that feeling of like, well, and he's right. Like if I wasn't helping his sister, I would have been right there making sure he was safe. And so right there is a prime example of finite resources being stretched too thin to effectively administer two systems, two kids. Now we're talking about, and I'm all in favor of a global government, mind you, like the New World Order. Yeah, let's get there. I'm tired of waiting, like because that basically translates to a United States of the Earth. Well, okay, so that right there is why we're not there yet, is because we say that thinking, oh yeah, because as an American, that's more comfortable to think about. Is like, okay, now it's all one big America. Well, for everybody that's not America, that's horrifying. That's extremely horrifying. So, no, it's not the United States of America, but it's the United Countries of Earth. And see, we're already pretty close to that as well. We just need to, I mean, this and that here and there, there's a few things we need to do, and we need to be patient while we do it too. Because at the end of the day, death is permanent, and that's why I'm confident about World War III, but not really. Like, I'm still nervous about it. I'm human. But, like, I'm confident that nobody wants to go there, and that sounds like such a horrible thing to say, but like for a lack of better term, nobody wants to go there. So, I mean, that's why we don't do nuclear war because we know that that's a slippery slope to like, okay, no, now everybody's dead and nobody wins. And so, and it's like these things, like I don't know, it's life in a nutshell, studying problem solving. Sorry. And then the whole point with my son is like he even said like right after he's like, no, no, it wasn't you. Like I'm sorry. I was like, but he couldn't help it. Like he instantly thought, and he was right to a point. That's why. Sorry, I really wanted to drive home that point. Like in that situation, he was right to be mad, to be like, why weren't you there? And then I was mad at myself, like, oh no, why wasn't I? And then that's just one observation I have as a parent. To where if you relate that to, say you're in a war and like, okay, now, I've got my friend, it's almost like doing skits and like it's kind of like a grim look into experiencing other cultures and societies. So you're in the war and you have someone shot right next to you. Well, I guess that's the whole point of movies and cinema is like trying to make things so believable and relatable to where people pay money to go experience them. Like I bring up the Colosseum a lot just because that's very real. Like we learned about the Colosseum, we learned about what went on there, and we hear this, and they were like, "Oh well, no, that couldn't happen." And then you see a movie like Idiocracy, and there you have the full circle. The Colosseum comes back, and then you've got like just ridiculous stuff. But and then you think about it, okay, well that makes it realistic and relatable to me right now. So now it's a problem that I want to solve. Now it's a problem that I want to dedicate resources to. Um, yeah, so basically that's kind of like the thing. Um, anyway, sorry. Now I'm trying to wager my time because like, and this is a very real problem with like that I have, and here's why. So I dated a girl that she was a nurse and she would respond and I know I've talked about her before. You know, as I say this, somebody's out there like rolling their eyes like, yes, A-Rye, we've heard about this, we know. But no, seriously, like I dated this girl and she, not that you don't believe me, but it's important enough I'm going to say it again is what I'm saying by that. Um, she would respond exactly twice as long as I would respond to her. I didn't notice it at first. I mean, I just started to kind of like pick up on the pattern, but she was so meticulous about how she wanted to let me know that she was upset that I took long to respond without telling me, hey, you're taking too long to respond. And so right there's problem solving with relationships. So the underlying psychological like aspect of that or the behavioral aspect of that is the hey, I'm now I'm in a relationship, I like you, let's and whatever else you want to say with it, like let's build a life together, let's get married, let's have kids, or all of the things that we kind of generalize. And then remember, a man is driven by his small head, and when the blood gets pumping, like we actually have less resources dedicated to our thought processes. It's explained, it's like actually like easy to understand when it's laid out like that. Like we don't think, and then there's all the old like wives' tales, and that's the best way I consider it. Like the old folklore. There you go, because that's a better way to say it. Like the only reason they're called wives' tales is probably because women had a lot more time to think while they were doing house chores back in the day. And again, not saying it's right. I mean, just acknowledging. I'm trying to figure out or puzzle why that is. Like why we call them old wives' tales. And honestly, yeah, I mean, they had a lot of time to sit and think, which is horrible. That's what we do to punish people. We send kids to detention, like we send inmates to solitary confinement, and then we confine women to the household to, well, no, it's okay. They've got things to keep busy. They've got, and same thing. It's because we tried to treat them like queens, so where they didn't have to worry their little hands, little missy, like you go spend time. And that was our honest, good intention. Sorry, I almost said honest to God, because that is kind of like a thing growing up. It's like how serious you are about a statement you make. Oh, honest to God. And then it's like, oh, don't say that. Don't lie to God. Like honest to Betsy or any of those silly things that like, I say silly because if God exists, he or she is not going to be concerned about whether you said this properly on this date. Like they're not checking that fine of a micro level. And if they are, whew, I'm much more in the belief that they're judging you overall, like you're, like weighing the scales. If there's anyone judging you at all. So there's a chance that there's nothing really out there, nothing happening. I mean, or at least nothing to the immediate future, because that's like the perspective you get when you see things like Men in Black, like the bug smacking into a windshield. That's a direct frame of reference to like, oh, life's not that, like don't take life too seriously. Still do what you need to do to survive, but don't go too crazy. Don't go overboard. Like no one to say no, no one to stop. And okay, and then right there, like today, real world problem solving. I had someone ask a thing, and they even said, like, no worries if not. Like, totally, like, try to do every bit of premising to ask something that I couldn't do. I didn't want to say no, but I had to. And that's exactly what I said. I was just like, sorry, I can't be doing that. And then boom, that was it. And like, not saying, like, it is not meant to be a mic drop moment. It is not meant to be sassy. It is not meant to be any of those things. And I hate, like, I don't know. It's meant to be, I'm sorry, I can't be doing that. That's it. And so for fear of mucking it up and actually making things worse by adding more, I'm actually choosing less is more. And that's also to reduce friction of explanation. Now, unfortunately, now you had to listen to all of that, but you came here by choice, so you get to listen to all that. I'm just kidding. No, but it is worth noting. Like that is just real world problem solving, day to day life. We all go through it. We all do it. And once you understand that, then it makes everything else easier. Like once you understand that it's not just you, or it's not just me, or it's not just the Americans, it's not just the Chinese, it's not just the Ukrainians, it's not just the Mexicans, the Spaniards, the oh my gosh, even that, like people hate being called Mexicans. Um, People hate being called Hispanic. Like it just depends on the context. I'm not saying it's ridiculous or we shouldn't, start like no. I mean, completely missing the point. It's we need to get to a point where we aren't offending each other. That's the point. Like, however we need to do it, we need to figure it out. And that's the other thing too, is like people might not know, they might not have the answer. Be like, again, put yourself in someone else's shoes. Like, so I'm, why I don't understand what it's like to like actually live as another person, like someone with a visibly distinguishable feature. There we go. Let's say something like that because, I don't know what it's like to live with someone, live like someone with one arm or someone with a different skin color. And unfortunately, that's the way it's like, I mean, oh, how do I put that? Like, it's the way she goes. Like that's what they say a lot in Trailer Park Boys when they have some like ridiculous things going on. Um, and it's because they're doing ridiculous things, trying to get their needs met, and with finite resources. Like there you go. You can sum up any situation. Like Star Trek, they were doing what they needed to get their needs met with a finite amount of resources, but they had their morals. And again, it's not that they're any different or anything special. It's just that they had different opportunity, different costs, different funding, different, and same with Christopher Columbus, same with Hitler, same with anyone in history. They had different funding, different motives, different morals, different boundaries. And so, and once you remove this idea of a boogeyman or Satan or the devil, then you start thinking, okay, wait, this is why this is more important and this is why this isn't. But again, when people were just communicating with word of mouth, they had to rely on the most effective ways of communicating. And we're talking about maybe, making cave paintings and talking to each other and then as just one form, and not trying to be offensive to anyone. That's just how humans do. Like that's what people will do is we'll make symbols. We'll try to tell each other because we're trying to help each other. We're trying to live the best life to get our needs met. We need food, we need shelter, we need, romantic, we need procreation. Now, it's like it's like the five F's or something, like food for something and then fornication or something. I crack up because it's a meme that there was a textbook that did, it was like the five F's, but instead of saying the F word, like the F bomb, the bad word, what I say the adult word in our house, um, instead of saying that, they say, and uh, procreating or something like that, or making babies, or just something that is not F. Although fornication would have been, or could have been a legitimate answer, but they didn't know, or maybe that's just what they decided was an adequate solution to the problem at the time. Whoever the editor was, whoever the writer was, they were just like, okay, that'll work, ship it. And so you ever wonder why things are close enough, and then why people do the things they do? It's exactly that, because it was close enough for them at the time to be a solution. There you go, boom. I think my job is done. No, I'm just kidding. If I teach anything, it's that you got to be patient with people and try to problem solve. And the more puzzles you do, the more problems you solve, the better you get at problem solving, and the better you are able to interact with others and to interact with yourself too. Because you got to remember, a lot of the motives behind this are depression, people committing suicide, mental health being a factor, and mental health being like, okay, if you're not well, are you going to hurt yourself or others? Like, okay, so something like that. And then how we address those situations too. How do we care for people that might be a danger to themselves or others? Like, oh, I'm helping. And then, like a cop shoots someone dead because they were having a bad time. These are the stories, the horror stories of law enforcement, because that's a career ending thing. That's also a life ending thing. Like you take someone else out. And that's why one of my buddies was really mad about the negotiations that we did over the Elijah McClain thing. And so my buddy is a cop from Aurora, and he didn't like it. Not saying no, okay, no, no, right there, someone would be like, "Well, yeah, of course he didn't like it because he's a cop in Aurora." Like, okay, no, if you're a cop in Aurora, let's actually analyze what that looks like. We have gangbangers in Aurora. We have, oh, sorry, I was checking my time to see like how much of a soapbox do I want to get on this. We have people shooting each other dead, like there, and so that's why I say like, and that's my whole excuse for like people coming here from Mexico or others, Central or South America areas. Like people are being shot dead in the streets. Well, okay. Ooh, and actually right there, that's pretty profound. Hold on. Sorry for the anti-immigration argument. It's like, so why do they got to come here and mess up our area? Like, we got our own problems too. And that is true. That is true. And that is like the concern about like the anti-immigration, just like let's not let them come here. That's the whole argument is they're worried about them messing up what we got going on. Like we already have a lot of problems to solve, and now we're going to take on more problems. Are you kidding me? No, stop with the problems. And that's what the people are arguing on the one side. Now the other side is no, no, we don't have all these problems. What are you talking about? And again, that's like, two hand the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing kind of sort of thing. And that's politics in a nutshell. Like city versus urban, red versus blue. Like you can almost draw these distinct lines, but yet we have both, and we have to work peacefully together. And then you just get into the point where we should just have less federal government, states control everything. But then it's like, no, 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 wait, because people aren't really willing to do that because some of the things like abortion and all that are so extreme. Well, for both sides, they're so extreme that and that's why my personal opinion on abortion is just like let's fix it this way. No more abortions because everybody has access to health care and everybody is in the assumption that premarital sex is okay. There, problem fixed. Because we already have the latter pretty much there. Like, I'm sorry, like the whole Ace Ventura, and again, this is something that you would know if you had seen Ace Ventura, and not trying to sound sassy or think like, oh, you'd know this if you had paid attention. No, if you just notice in Ace Ventura, when nature calls, he ruins her virginity, and that causes war at the end. Like, that's the whole ending of the movie. Sorry I spoiled it. It's like 30 years old. Go see it. But anyways, sorry, that's just saying like, and then I feel like the guy in Simpsons, the nerd that knows everything, and he's just so impatient with everybody because he has already been there, done that. He's lost the joy or the experience or the aha moment of first figuring out something. And see, right there, that's like the adrenaline junkie, like someone who's, that's like the pro snowboarder denying the little like learning snowboarders right to their excitement and their adventure, their sense of adventure, learning this new thing, being shown a whole new world. See, right there, talking about Ariel and the Little Mermaid, like experiencing literally a whole new world, a whole new universe. Whew. Yeah, hold on. We gotta slow down a bit there. So yeah, basically if you watch a lot of Disney movies or the equivalent, then you'll get a lot of training that way. And not so much training like, oh, we all need to be like, this or that. No, and that's a scare. That's why we have things like Black Mirror. Because if we get so good at manufacturing a person, ooh, and right there, like, is that the whole concept of the devil, like with introducing knowledge? Like, did you remove all the friction to the point where it was evil, and now you took out the fun in life? No, I would disagree. See, like right there, kind of discussing with myself. That could be like multiple personalities, and I did notice that. Like, sorry, not saying I have multiple personality thing. I realize that I am one person talking to myself, which, if said out of context, would be cause for concern. But I was messing with the video earlier, setting up a Google profile and just pretending like I was someone else. And that's what people don't understand is like, um, especially the older generations, like they don't understand why you would try to pose as someone else or why you try to spoof a number or try to pretend like you're someone else or catfish or all of these concepts where, yeah, I'm not out there spoofing or catfishing, but I'm even creating alternate personas and alternate profiles because the situation is different. Like, that's my public facing one that I don't want any of my personal information going out. So that's my social media. That's what I'm comfortable sharing. And see, that's the other thing too, is like, social media is too vague of a term. Like, my social medias are different. And I've seen a meme for this. Like, there's an app for that. There's a meme for that where it's like, it has like 4 images side by side. Oh, there's the alarm. Okay, anyways, we'll finish that thought and then be done. But like basically it has 4 images side by side. So 4 situations. And one is like your LinkedIn, so it shows someone in a suit. Then your Facebook, it shows someone like having fun. And then your your Tinder, and then it shows like someone trying to seduce someone. And then your I forget what the other one was, but and then your Twitter where it's all like someone is like a political activist or something like that. But And that's why it's so hard. And that's why, because people can lose their jobs over their opinion. They could lose your livelihood. You could lose your family. You could lose all sorts of things. So you're gambling a lot by having free speech. Mm. But then at the same time, you're gambling a lot by not having free speech. So at the end of the day, yes. No, that's just it. Like, they're like, okay. No, the answer is it depends. And so, and everything is a trade-off, a balance. And that's what I'm going to end with. Like, welcome to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Here's, Bob Saget, like, doing wholesome family videos while he does, like, really raunchy things. And rest in peace, too. I mean, not I think, like, that sounds disrespectful. It's like, so I wasn't aware because I was so aware of other things and I don't have the bandwidth to really remember. But yeah, he passed away. I'm fairly certain. So I kind of remember it now. But it's like, again, like even if that sounds insensitive, that's not my intention. It came off that way. And then all of these are like fights. And if any of this sounds familiar, it's because these are human nature pieces, little modules, if you will, when interacting with each other. So, anyways, have a good rest of the Sunday. I think I'm good for now. I got to go get some stuff done, but yeah, and I will talk to you later. Maybe I'll put out another one tonight. I don't know. I do have some jam boards. I got some things I got to do, so sorry, the whole thing. Not that you care, not that, yeah. Just like okay, real quick, let's talk about that. So there is this guy that does these videos, and my kids watch him, and like he is really good, but he did that in one of the videos. He's like, "Sorry, I gotta go, be right back," and then he did. He left, and he came back 7 hours later, and I thought, "Oh, well, why?" But then I just did it right there, and it's like, well, because it's human nature, and so even though you just sat through listening to that, yeah, that's human nature. I don't take pleasure in making you sit through extra stuff. It's just it's kind of funny. So, anyways, I will talk to you later. Ta ta.